And welcome in, all of you no off-seasoners, to our first live stream here. Wish I could get a fundraiser going, but for now, we are just going to do a mock draft for something that most people don't do. We're going to mock out of the 1-1 spot. I haven't done this yet, but I want to try to do a mock draft for every single spot in a half PPR. We're going to do one QB, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, and it looks like I accidentally left two flexes in here. I'll go ahead and fix the roster. But we're going to do two running back, two wide receivers, one tight end, and a flex. No kickers, no defense, because who cares about kickers and defense? It's too much variance, too much randomization there. And today, that's what we're doing. So I appreciate you guys stopping in. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Kind of give you a little bit of in-depth of the strategy that I'm going to be using here, and that will obviously be brought up multiple times as we're getting picked. So a lot of the strategy has to do with, especially at the 1-1 spot, is it's okay to reach on the guys that you want to watch. It's okay to reach on the guys that you truly believe are going to get the workload that they are due. So let me go ahead and fix up these. Yeah, the roster settings. Let's go do that. Take off these losers. No one cares about kickers, DSTs. Promise I did this before starting, but hey, it happens. All right, so here we are. Yes, we're not drafting or mocking with anyone here yet. Maybe in the future, I'd love to do some type of a mock draft with some of the listeners. But right now, we're just going to stick to... Sorry, I'm pulling up the YouTube so that way I can post this somewhere for you guys on Twitter, so that way everyone knows that we are live right now. And yeah, we're getting ready to do that start. So now, let me just mute that. I am now in a loop. And hope all you guys are doing well today. And ladies, for those of you who love fantasy football, whatever's in your cup, whether it is water, coffee, whiskey, and wine for some of you all out there. I just pulled up a little snippet of my NFL draft ledger that is in all my pre-draft evaluations for all the rookies that were coming in this season. And yeah, you can find that on my Patreon, which is going to be down in the description of this live stream. And we are now 3 minutes in. It is August 19th. We are just in the middle of draft season, you guys. So why not go ahead and get started with a mock draft? And yes, as I said earlier, we are going to do, we're going to try to do a live stream like this for each spot. And we're going to be using Sleeper. That's just my favorite. Maybe we can get a couple best ball mock draft live streams on here to also talk about some of that strategy there. As I know some of you, if you're like myself, you are a fantasy football degenerate. You like to bet money on football because we think we're good at it. We think we have an edge. So that's what we're going to do, starting the mock draft with today. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm putting a 2-minute timer on all these picks here, just so that way I don't keep dragging along for you guys. But what I always say in the first 4 rounds is... The goal for the first 4 rounds is you don't want to lose your league, okay? You don't want to lose it, which is what you can do. What you want to do is not try to be too cute and try to chase the high upside where there's an extremely low floor that could bottom out on you. Now, for the following rounds, between 4 and 18 or however long your draft is, that's when you win your league. That's when you're trying to chase the guys that have the potential to be top 5, top 10 in their respective positions. Whereas, the first 4 rounds, you're really trying to nail who's going to be the number 1 volume guy on the respective offenses and who has a chance to really be the number 1 at each position in terms of fantasy. Let me get this posted here on Twitter, and we can go ahead and get started. And I appreciate you guys for any of you all who are stopping in to view this. And let's start with the number 1 overall pick. Okay, so I'm going to put myself on the clock here. We've got 2 minutes here. And so this is half PPR. Okay, I want to make that very clear. This is half PPR. So like I said, we want to stick true to that the strategy of, are we trying to get too cute and outright win our league by reaching on someone here at the number 1 overall pick? No, you're just trying to avoid losing your league in the first 4 rounds, especially when you're at, 1-1 or 110 or 112, depending on how many players are in your league. You have these turns where you're taking back-to-back players, okay? So yes, ultimately, if you're someone that you trust, you're going to have to just reach on them, unfortunately. And in preparing for this, there are a few players that we had to reach on in order to make sure that we did not, lose our league, or essentially we still get our guys, because we're at that 1-1, the first and second, the second, third round turn, and then the fourth, fifth round turn for us at the number 1 overall spot. And so, let's get some better lighting in here. How about that? How about get your damn stream ready before you go live, right? So, at the number 1 overall pick, we want to stay safe in a half PPR. I will say outright, if this was a full PPR league, I think that the safe route is actually Christian McCaffrey. When we're talking about a player who's going to likely double the amount of targets and possibly receptions over Jonathan Taylor, that extra 30 points, 40 points matters and could definitely propel CMC to be the number 1 running back in full PPR. But in half PPR, we're going to go ahead and take Jonathan Taylor. Okay? Even if he's top 5 running back, even if he's a top 8 running back, at least you solidified your running back position. You don't want to lose in these first 2 rounds. And by lose, I mean losing your league. You can't really go wrong with any of these guys. But in a half PPR league, you're definitely going to go Jonathan Taylor. Austin Eckler, CMC are kind of your high upside guys that you want to look for at the number 1 overall spot when it's full PPR. Now, for those of you who might be chasing Derrick Henry because of that amount of volume that he got last year, look, it was a historic pace, right? It was an absolute monster historic pace that is probably not sustainable for anyone, which is exactly why he got hurt. So how are the Titans medical staff and front staff going to analyze that? Are they going to throw him back into the into the den, so to speak, and make him go to work at the same pace? Probably not. You don't want your one guy who has the chance of carrying you to the playoffs in Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans, because there's not very much to do, or there's not many other options to go in that offense in Tennessee. Treylon Burks, the rookie who is supposed to replace A.J. Brown, look, you can't have super high expectations. And the goal here, like I said, is to not lose your league in these first few rounds. But also, I love to get the guy who I believe or who I project is going to get the most amount of work, right? I'm not going to go out here and get Michael Pittman early on. I'm going to get Jonathan Taylor because he's going to have the most amount of work in that Colts offense. Same thing for CMC, right? It's almost obvious, but it needs to be said. Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, those are the guys who are probably going to get the most amount of opportunities out of everyone on their respective offenses. So, because I spent so much time on that first pick, I'm going to pause it here for just a moment. And I want to talk about how we can attack the running back, tight end, and wide receiver positions here at the 2-3 turn when you have the number 1 overall pick. So, obviously, in here, we have Jonathan Taylor because he's going to have the most amount of volume that we can project for out of everyone on the board. But now that we have a few wide receivers taken, we have a majority of the workhorse running backs taken off of the board at this point. I like to solidify running back position early on now in redraft because I know they're going to get that volume. They're going to get the targets if you're actually going for someone who is used in the passing game. Okay, and we have to be careful not to fall for projection folly or projection love. Sleeper is not exactly the best at projecting volume, whether it comes to rushing, receiving, anything really, okay? So I'm not going to sit here and tell you to do your own projections. That's just not feasible. We need to get this in a short amount of time, okay? Now, what I do know is there's offenses and quarterbacks that I just do not trust. Tyreek Hill is someone that I trust as himself as an individual. I'm not there yet on Tua in order to try to solidify and say, I'm going to take Tyreek Hill thinking he's going to be the wide receiver 1, because that's what I'm trying to do right now. I don't have confidence that Tyreek Hill is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy in half PPR, full PPR, or even standard at this point, okay? None of that has to do with Tyreek Hill. A lot of it has to do with the quarterback play. And so right now, what I like to do at this point, especially since I have back-to-back picks, we're just going to talk through that. But I like to know, who do I think is going to have that ability to get to the number 1 position in fantasy, okay? We have our running back already, but is there a chance that we can get another running back that has a really good shot at being the number 1 overall pick? I'm sorry, the number 1 overall running back in fantasy? Absolutely, okay? I'm probably not looking any farther than Leonard Fournette if I'm looking at the running back position. Here's why. Look, Brady is on his leave of absence right now on a personal matter. There's speculation whether it has to do with retirement or a family matter. All I know is there's no clarity there. We don't know if this is something that he's actually going to be able to return from. Is he contemplating retirement? The fact that the team is not confident on when he's returning makes me a little nervous, okay? And let's be honest, Leonard Fournette's value is fully dependent on who's the quarterback. If you're telling me that Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask is going to be the starting quarterback for the Buccaneers offense, I mean, how confident are you now that Leonard Fournette could be a top 5, top 10 running back? It plummets. His ADP is not going to be at 25 anymore. That news could be breaking by the end of preseason. And I'm not saying that's what I'm projecting, that Brady's not going to play. But what I'm saying is, if we're drafting here August 19th and we don't have those answers, I'm not going to go, I'm going to be risk adverse here and avoid that type of risk. And I'm going to go with someone who I know is going to be, that has continuity in that offense, whether it's offensive line, offensive coordinator, quarterback, head coach. So right now, I'm looking at Aaron Jones and Mark Andrews for this pick. And then, of course, we have another one back to back. Look, when I've done mocks at the 1-1 spot before, Aaron Jones has not been here for me at the 20th pick. And so for that reason, I want to solidify that running back core that I have here. There's a lot of speculation that A.J. Dillon is cutting into that, and that is definitely possible. What I do know that Aaron Rodgers trusts Aaron Jones in what could be his last year in Green Bay. But Devontae Adams, the number 1 target in Green Bay, if you haven't been following so far, is now in Las Vegas with the Raiders, where he teams up with his former college quarterback, Derek Carr. So I don't know how I feel here, but we're definitely between Aaron Jones and Javonte Williams. Here's why I'm going to go Williams, and I said I was probably going to go Aaron Jones. But I'm going to go Javonte Williams because he has that ability to be the number 1 overall pick. Melvin Gordon coming out and saying the Denver Broncos want to use him as a workhorse. They want to get him the ball and they want to feature him. I understand it's a new head coach in Hackett. It's a new offensive coordinator in Justin Outten. And I think because of that, I truly believe that there's a reason that they're going to give Javonte Williams the keys to this Lamborghini along with Russell Wilson, the future Hall of Famer. And so for that reason, I'm going to unpause this draft finally. I know some of y'all can sigh. We've got 15 minutes here to make this pick. But if I'm in if you're in my chair here and you're picking 1, I'm not going to be mad at you for taking Aaron Jones here, okay? And I'm going to do my best to not spend another 5 minutes on the next pick. But I have 2 guys here in the running back position where I feel confident that I don't have to address it for a little while, okay? Because my goal is to get the RB1, who I think I have in Jonathan Taylor. Then I want to try to get the wide receiver 1, who I'm probably not going to have a good shot at now with the wide receivers that are taken off the board. But I can at least try to get, move your goal a little bit, lower your standards. If I'm in round 3 Am I trying to get wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 5? In these first 4 rounds, I'm still trying to obtain the number 1 player at their respective position. I feel pretty good that I have a good chance at getting 1, if not 2, running backs in the top 5, top 8, just based on their projected workload. Now, here, I still have Aaron Jones, but right now I want to take the ability. Now, this is not a tight end premium league just for the theoretical mock draft here. If you're in a tight end premium, Mark Andrews is the obvious option here. I know Rashad Bateman is lined up for a huge second-year breakout, but we need to see it first, okay? This is an offense that's going to look eerily similar to the 2019 MVP season for Lamar Jackson. And why am I going to go for Tyreek Hill for, in an offense and a quarterback that I just don't trust yet? I like Mike McDaniels. I like Mike McDaniel. I think that he's going to get Tyreek the ball in very unique ways, but I don't see Tyreek as now having the potential stepping down from Patrick Mahomes to Tua as having the chance at being top 5 in fantasy as a wide receiver. So I'm going to go Mark Andrews because even in a half PPR league, that's a guy who's going to lead the Ravens offense who, if they want to keep up in their division, is going to have to pass the ball or Lamar Jackson's going to run it, okay? I trust the workload that they've given Mark Andrews in the past, and he's been able to sustain that, okay? So we're going to keep Mark Andrews there. So I feel pretty confident still. Like I said, these first 4 rounds, you don't want to lose your league. You just want to, you're trying to not lose your league as opposed to getting too cute. So right now, I'm in a very interesting predicament here because to me, ETN and Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, that's kind of the end of that, or the beginning rather, of the running back dead zone for me. We still want to stick true to our strategy of we don't want to lose our league in the first 4 rounds, okay? If I had Travis Etienne magically fall to me in the 5th round, I'm smashing that accept there, okay? But I have the back-to-back pick here, so I have that ability. I have what I think is the tight end 1 on the season. I have what I believe is going to be the running back 1 on the season. And I have what I believe is going to be at least a top 10 running back on the season. So I'm feeling pretty good at the positions that I've already drafted. Now, I don't feel good about the positions that I haven't drafted in yet, okay? So it gets a little icky here. We're not going to address tight end, so George Kittle's off the board for me. We're only drafting 1 tight end. It's not a tight end premium league, so Darren Waller, George Kittle, not in it for me here. I'm looking between 2 players who I think that could finish in the top 5, at least top 10 at their respective positions. Because again, we're trying to not lose our league here early on. After this, after the 4th, 5th turn, the 4th, 5th round turn here, that's when we want to start taking those risks and say, well, I'm much higher on this guy, because that's when ADP starts to shift and consensus starts to fall apart. And you got to go chasing your guys here. So I'm going to actually go and address the wide receiver position here. And I'm going to go with DJ Moore, the man with, 5 straight or 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, always averaging above 100 targets with the Panthers offense. And if they want to win, they're going to have to get the ball to both Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore. DJ Moore is about to play with the best quarterback in his entire career in Baker Mayfield. Yes, this is not a quarterback competition. I know the media says otherwise, but you don't bring in Baker Mayfield, the former number 1 overall pick, who's also now a teammate of the 3rd overall pick in the same draft class of 2018 in Sam Darnold. You brought in Baker Mayfield to try to replace Darnold, not to compete with Darnold. So now we're in a predicament that I'm not usually in. Lamar Jackson is projected as top 5 for me. DJ Moore, who I just drafted, I feel really confident can finish as a top 5, top 8 wide receiver on the season in half PPR. So it's how do I feel about Travis Etienne finishing in the top 8 running backs this season? Because then if I have 3 top 8 running backs, I'm sitting very pretty going into the fantasy playoffs, giving myself a chance. Also with Mark Andrews, who I believe is going to be an easy lock for a top 5 tight end. So if you're in my chair, you need to ask yourself this. Are you thinking that Travis Etienne is going to finish as a top 8 running back? If so, then you may as well take him. Do I feel that Lamar Jackson is going to finish as a top 5 quarterback in this season? I do. I haven't projected that way. Now, I will say I'm not as savvy or I'm not as inclined to do stacks in redraft leagues than as I am in best ball leagues. Okay. In a best ball league, I am looking to make sure I get the best player from each team. Right now, I think I have Mark Andrews. I don't want to stack him with Lamar Jackson because in best ball, sure, they're going to win me a week if they both pop off and Lamar Jackson's finding Mark Andrews. Now, if Lamar Jackson's having a great game, I have him, and then Mark Andrews is not having a great game, then I'm double whammied there. I like that for best ball. I don't love it for redraft, okay? So I'm going to avoid that there, and I have my eye on a quarterback later on here. So I'm actually going to go with something I haven't done before. I'm going to try to lock up my running backs here with Travis Etienne, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore moving forward. Then I feel confident I have at least 3 running backs who are going to finish in the top 12. Let's see how the rest of the board falls to us. I understand I'm blocking half of the board. That's because when you're drafting, don't care about how everyone else is drafting. You focus on your team, okay? The only thing standing between you and that trophy is you and your team, and you can't really control how well the other teams are going to draft. Kyler Murray is someone that I was looking at here who I have projected to finish as a top 3 quarterback, okay? So I feel like I've been a little sniped there as he was only 4 picks away, and I was looking to cap off this roster and landing what I think is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league, okay? Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow as a football quarterback. In fantasy, I don't love it yet. He has the supporting cast, obviously, right? He has the deepest wide receiver room in the entire league. He has a great backfield with Joe Mixon and Chris Evans, but it's not the upside I'm looking for, okay? I don't want to spend a 6th-round pick on a quarterback who I don't think is going to garner the upside of a top 5 quarterback, okay? So for me, I would be losing out there, okay? Elijah Mitchell, I can pass on a running back for now because, yes, he can start for me. I have 2 flexes in this league. I could potentially flex him, but I don't love him, especially after the San Francisco 49ers spending a 3rd-round pick on Ty Davis-Price. Tight end positions taken, not worried about Dalton Schultz right now, okay? So here's who I'm looking at. I have 2 back-to-back picks. I can address multiple positions here. I have Jalen Hurts as projected as being a top 5 quarterback, okay? So if I'm looking at my team right now, I have Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, DJ Moore, Mark Andrews, and Travis Etienne, who I believe can all finish in top 8 besides Travis Etienne. I have him maybe finishing top 12 as far as running backs go. I'm feeling pretty good. I have Jalen Hurts, who has continuity at the offensive line position, if you care about that. Continuity in the offensive coordinator. Doesn't have to relearn a new system. He has continuity in his backfield. Kenneth Gainwell coming back. Miles Sanders hurt right now, but projected to return and be ready for week one. So I'm feeling pretty good about the continuity in that offense. Jalen Hurts only got an upgrade. He went from Devontae Smith to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I like that. And Jalen Hurts going to be playing on a prove-it year, looking for that extension next season. I think he's going to do his best to try to make sure that he gets paid next year. Now, here, like I said, we're after that 4th round, so now we need to start making moves that we think are going to win. We want to be early on guys, not late. If you can notice that from here. Travis Etienne, I took him at the 5th round turn, okay? That's not the sexiest pick. It's not the, it's not a safe pick. I didn't take Brandon Cooks there or anything like that. I took someone who I believe are projecting to be higher than their ADP says they are, okay? I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to reach a little bit, But this guy used to be a consensus top 5 in all formats, Dynasty, half PPR, full PPR. And that's Michael Thomas, okay, who is apparently practicing, apparently doing well. Oh, and by the way, let's look at his finishes so far in the league. Since 2016, in PPR, all PPR formats, he finished 7th, 5th, 6th, and then his last season in which he played a full 16 games, now 17, he finished as wide receiver 1. That's the type of guy that you can find now at the beginning of the 7th round, maybe end of the 6th, okay? So did I reach on him a little bit? Sure. I don't see it that way. This is a guy who is, sure, he doesn't have Drew Brees anymore, but Jameis Winston would be absolutely, brain dead to not get the best player on his team. Yes, even better than Alvin Kamara. I am saying that Michael Thomas is better at his position than Alvin Kamara is, and Michael Thomas has that upside. People have forgotten that Michael Thomas is an upside play right now. He's a mid-round wide receiver that has the ability to finish as a top 5 wide receiver. Would you be surprised if Michael Thomas finishes top 5? I understand he's had this injury for, 2 years now. But even the last time that we saw him in 7 games, he was on a ridiculous pace of 55 targets. So, even if we do that real quick, homeboy was still averaging 8 targets a game, and he was garnering 11 yards on each of those targets. Yeah, sign me up for someone. I don't care that he's 29 years old. This is not Dynasty. I'm trying to win this year, okay? So, yeah, I'm taking Michael Thomas there, and we have another back-to-back pick here. Really wanted Rashad Bateman. Didn't fall to me. And Bateman, in my opinion, is going to be the second highest targeted pass catcher in the Ravens offense. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those guys who are going to be, I guess, kind of taking on those vacated targets that are missing. And so for me, Juju Smith-Schuster now goes from Ben Roethlisberger to Patrick Mahomes, the generational quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks to see the field at this age. Guys, it doesn't have to be hard. You want to get the players who are, projected to be that leading target. Don't sweat Sky Moore. He's a rookie. He still has to keep up. Does Sky Moore have the ability to have a breakout season as a rookie? Yeah, we've seen it, right? We've seen it, but he's not Justin Jefferson. He's not Jamar Chase. Don't put those types of expectations on players who don't even have similar draft capital. So, yes, Sky Moore will be a thing. Marcus Valdes-Scantling might be a thing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm listing off guys who you're probably rolling your eyes, not going to be getting a huge amount of work. So, to me, Juju Smith-Schuster is the obvious guy outside of Travis Kelce who's going to be the top target for Patrick Mahomes. And the good news is that Juju can line up anywhere, outside, in the slot, things of that nature, okay? So, we haven't addressed running back in about 3 rounds. So now we're left with Cordero, Tony Pollard. It's still kind of ugly. These are guys who don't necessarily have their, positional battles wrapped up yet, okay? We have Gabe Davis, who a lot of people are projecting for that ridiculous upside that he has with touchdowns. Guys, I'm here to tell you, touchdowns are not predictable. Now, can you utilize and use previous history or historical data saying, hey, this guy just gets a bunch of end zone or red zone targets? Absolutely. Absolutely. But in a half PPR league, I still see a guy on here who has a good chance of being the number 1 target in his respective offense, and that's Drake London, okay? The rookie, he was the first wide receiver taken off the board in the NFL draft just this past spring. Drake London, taken at, believe, the 8th overall pick by the Atlanta Falcons. But teams don't take someone that high at that position to not use him, okay? So now look at what I have. Drake London, is he going to finish as a top 10, top 12 wide receiver? No, but we have to lower our standards. We're now in the 9th, 10th round. Now we want In order for us to win our league, these guys have to be making it to like wide receiver 2 territory, top 20, top 24. Is that in the realm of possibility for Drake London? 100%. Absolutely. With the amount of targets that he's going to get, that's absolutely a possibility. And I'm going to pull you guys off of the mock board for just a moment, and I want to show you my projections that I have for Drake London. Here is Marcus Mariota right here. I've got him projected for 640 targets. 640 and a half pass attempts, because this is a team that's going to be playing from behind for a majority of their games. So I have Drake London projected for a 20% target share. That puts Drake London at 120 targets, 88 and an eighth of a chance, 80% chance to catch that 89th reception, 7.6 touchdowns, and 1,000 yards. Okay, that would put him at half PPR at just under 200 points. That is definitely someone who will be aiming for that wide receiver 2 range, and I got him in the 9th round. It's all about targeting players who you think are going to be pacing or leading their team in volume, targets, and look at when I'm finding them, okay? I'm going to pause this for just a moment while I make this pick, because I'm still harping about the values that I'm finding at the wide receiver position, which is exactly why I'm okay with taking 2 to 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds. Okay? It's much easier to find a wide receiver who you can plug into your starting lineup in the first few weeks, after injuries start to happen in the NFL, unfortunately. And it's a lot harder to find and identify the running backs that are going to replace someone who got hurt in the middle of the season. Okay? Those don't happen as often. You're not going to find the Alvin Kamara of 2017 or 2018. You're not going to find the James Robinson of 2 years ago as easily as you can find a replacement wide receiver for one of yours who goes down mid-season. Okay? Wide receivers are going to be much more easier to replace. So let's get back into this. We've just got a few more picks. And there's a reason I paused it, right? There's only 10 seconds left here. So again, I like to scan here and see who do I think, based on the skill positions I have, who do I believe has the chance at having some of the most amount of targets? Maybe not the number 1 anymore, because now 100 players have been drafted, but maybe has a chance at being the second highest target share, second highest targets on the team. Okay, or do I go after a running back here? It's been a while. I took Michael Thomas, Juju. Look, with the James White retirement, I am in on Ramondre Stevenson, and I wasn't before, okay? Josh McDaniels is out. Bill Belichick is in. I'm not sure who's going to be calling those plays for the offense in New England, but it's either going to be Matt Patricia, and I know Matt Patricia's offense is not great, but we have to solidify ourselves here with a running back just in case one of ours goes down. Ramondre has a chance at finishing as a RB2 if given the chance. As a rookie, guys, as a rookie. He already finished as a top 50 running back, had 5 touchdowns, 18 targets. We expect that to go up with James White going away. So now we have a minute and a half. We're trying to identify what is going to be, or who is going to be here, potentially leading their team in volume. And you have to remember, DeAndre Hopkins being out for 6 games is a big deal. I'm looking here at Zach Ertz, who has had a long track record of finishing in the top 5 as long as he finishes the season, okay? I don't like to project injuries or anything of that nature. We already have Mark Andrews, so I'm going to hold off on tight end for a little bit. We have Jalen Hurts, and my strategy for quarterback is always take a safe option, regardless of when it is. If it's safe, I say wait, and take a high upside option. We took a super high upside option, and who I think is actually also safe because of his rushing ability. That's Jalen Hurts. We took him in the 6th round. Okay, so Trey Lance, as much as I love him this year, I'm going to hold off a little bit, as there's a lot of quarterbacks who are safe options as opposed to Jalen Hurts. kind of having a little bit of that risk-adverse upside there. But looking here, I like Allen Lazard, okay? Come for me at the end of the season if he is absolute trash. I will tell you this. Aaron Rodgers and his rookies have averaged, I believe, less than 10% target share in their rookie season. So there's a lot of hype about Christian Watson. There's even more about Romeo Doubs and what he's been doing in practice and in preseason games. But I'm going to go true and hold. If you and go with the old faithful. Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard still there. Aaron Rodgers is much more lenient on those veterans. And so would I be surprised if Allen Lazard leads the entire Green Bay Packers offense in targets? No, absolutely not. Not a chance. It's Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, and then the two rookies that apparently everyone's worried about. Now, we haven't seen it, no, but we have progress, okay? Every year that he's been in the league since 2018, he's been increasing in target share, increasing in, so I guess he's apparently touchdown dependent, but I'm not even worried about touchdown. This guy's going to get volume just because he is the incumbent number one receiver with Devontae Adams out. So now we're looking here at the 12-13 turn here. So we have back-to-back picks again. Here is where I want to take a quarterback that I think is safe, okay? I think is going to be safe, but also has a chance to lead a decent quarterback. To lead a decent offense. So since we last spoke, Rodgers gone, Stafford gone, Lance, Derek Carr, all gone, okay? Kirk Cousins ain't going to lose you a league, but he ain't going to win it for you either. But since 2015, he's finished 10th, 5th, 6th, 13th, 19th, 11th, and 11th. If something happens to Jalen Hurts, we're going to be in good hands with Kirk Cousins. He's not going to lose us our league, and he's definitely not going to lose it for us in the 12th round. So we'll go ahead and solidify our quarterback position there. I understand it's a one-quarterback league. It's redraft. But look, if you don't have a top 12 quarterback in your league, you're most likely not going to win. So if Jalen Hurts gets injured, we're screwed. We have no chance at making the playoffs. And even if we do, we have no chance of killing the team that is steamrolling everybody, okay? So let's make sure we have the average of 20 fantasy points a game coming in from whichever quarterback, whether it's Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, and let's just play it safe there. Now, we can start taking our dart throws and chasing those high upside players. Again, no defense, no kickers here, so we're just chasing those high upside players. Michael Carter, not for me. Breece Hall, just replace him in the second round. And sure, does he have a big workload if Breece Hall goes down? Yes. But I think what we saw last year is probably the ceiling for Michael Carter, even if Breece Hall gets hurt. So that type of pick is just not for me, and it's not something that I'm interested in, okay? Tyler Boyd, the obvious wide receiver 3, in the Cincinnati offense, does he have a chance to finish as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3? Absolutely. He's done it his entire career. Since 2018, he's finished 16th, 18th, 29th, and then 31st. So that's obviously the emergence of T. Higgins there and Jamar Chase. So as I see that trend line of his target share going down, why am I going to want to take him as a dart throw when I'm going to drop him in 3 weeks because someone that I could have had here is outperforming him? So to give myself just a few more seconds to look at what we've got here on this board, we have Cole Kmet. We haven't drafted a tight end since the 3rd round in Mark Andrews. Everyone likes what they see from Cole Kmet, whether it's the staff in Chicago or for those of you who watched the Seattle and Chicago game last night. It definitely looked promising. Even on short yardage throws, he was able to make plays after the catch. So Cole Kmet being 24, 23 years old, do I think he's going to win me or win you a league in the 13th round? It's possible. It is possible. But he still has Justin Fields. Does he have a chance to be second in targets in the entire Chicago offense? Absolutely. I believe that. And that's why I'm okay with taking Cole Kmet over Albert O here and addressing and closing out our tight end position. So we'll resume the draft here, and we'll take Cole Kmet. Now, do I think that Cole Kmet is a better athlete or a better pass catcher than Albert O? No, I don't believe that, but Albert O is still going up against his own teammates, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, as they try to sort out who is going to take over the amount of vacated targets that Tim Patrick is leaving behind since his ACL being torn here in the offseason. And Rondale Moore just sticks out to me here because DeAndre Hopkins is still out for the first 6 games. And there's been talk about Rondale Moore being the obvious heir apparent for Christian Kirk. And that's someone that I'm going to want on my team here. So I'm going to take back-to-back wide receivers here. Rondale Moore, who I believe is in for a huge upgrade in work, okay? Huge upgrade. Why am I taking him over players like Devontae Parker? And that's just, I would rather have a part of the offense of Arizona than I would in New England. And I believe a lot of you would agree on that. Now, on the other side, no, I don't love the Washington offense. What I do love is the talent that Jahan Dotson shows and the fact that Washington traded up for him in the first round. Tells you that they're dedicated to him, even though they paid Terry McLaurin a huge extension this offseason. But I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson, who I believe has a good chance at being second in targets for this entire offense. I don't think it's far-fetched to believe that Antonio Gibson is not going to get the same amount of workload that he got last year. A lot of people were already fading him just because of how he was used in the preseason game. Brian Robinson had a pretty good showing. Don't get it twisted. Antonio Gibson still has that RB1 spot in Washington, but it is definitely his to lose. So, Brian Robinson is definitely going to likely be on waivers for most of your leagues going into this season, but I believe that Dotson has a good chance at being the number 2 highest targeted pass catcher or player in general of this offense. That's what I want. Can Jacoby Myers potentially be the number 1 target in New England? Absolutely. Finished with 126 targets last season. They addressed the wide receiver position and took Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor just in the NFL draft just this past spring. So my 2 choices would definitely be Jacoby Myers and Jahan Dotson. I'm going to trust Jahan Dotson's deep ball ability a little bit more with Carson Wentz than I will for Jacoby Myers. That's going to wrap up this mock draft here. And like I said, moving forward, we're going to try to do a mock draft live here on the YouTube channel and doing it hopefully more and more often as we get closer to the beginning of the NFL season. And of course, it is draft season here now. I appreciate you all stopping in to watch here and leave a message on the speak pipes that'll be in the description below. Patreon's below. TikTok is all below. You can follow all that. And I will see you guys on the next one.